Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are your hosts getting ready to dive headfirst into the madness.
Today, we're breaking down Chapter 82. Okay, let's go.
Let's go is right. This chapter is pure momentum. We left off with the crew walking towards Arlong Park, and this week, Luffy doesn't even wait for the door to open all the way. He just walks in and immediately uses the enemy's giant sea cow as a flail to demolish the entire front of their base.
A very direct form of diplomacy. It's one of the most unhinged and brilliant introductions to a fight we've seen yet.
It is beautiful, weaponized chaos. It's like Oda sat down and thought, how can I make this entrance as disrespectful as humanly possible? And this is what he came up with. It's not just a punch, it's a declaration that your entire power structure, right down to your pet sea monster, is a toy to me. If you want to keep up with this kind of energy every week, and trust me, you do, make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss a single punch.
And there are many punches to come. Shall we begin with the first one?
Let's do it. So Luffy just strolls in. The air is thick. Arlong is sitting on his throne, all smug, and he asks who Luffy is. He's got this whole king of the castle vibe going on, like he's about to receive a tribute.
The framing of that panel is very deliberate. Arlong is elevated, looking down. The fishmen are arrayed around him like courtiers. It's a scene of established, static power. Then you have Luffy, a single point of forward momentum, just walking in and disrupting that entire composition. He doesn't even look up at Arlong at first.
He doesn't care. That's what's so great about it. Arlong's whole world is this park, this throne. To Luffy, it's just another room he has to walk through to get to the guy he needs to punch.
Luffy just gives his name. No grandstanding, no declaration of intent, just, I'm Luffy. It's so simple, but it carries immense weight. He isn't Monkey D. Luffy, captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. He is just himself, and he believes that is enough.
And then two of Arlong's goons try to stop him, to do the whole you gotta talk to us first routine. Big mistake. Huge. Luffy doesn't even break stride. He just grabs both of their heads and clacks them together. Done. Out cold. It's not even a named attack. It's the martial art of get out of my way.
The efficiency is what's so chilling. There's no wasted movement. He isn't there to posture. He's there on a mission. The other fishmen are visibly stunned. They're used to people cowering or trying to fight with a flourish. They aren't prepared for this level of sheer, unadorned purpose. You can see it on their faces. They've never encountered anything like him.
Even Arlong is taken aback. He tries again, asking what a pirate wants with him. He's trying to treat this like a business negotiation, like when he deals with the Marines. He's trying to put Luffy in a box he understands. Are you here for money, territory? What's the angle? He can't comprehend that someone would come here for a reason that isn't based on greed or power.
He's projecting his own values onto Luffy. Arlong's entire world is transactional. Nami worked for him to buy her village. The Marines take bribes to look the other way. He believes everything and everyone has a price.
And Luffy's response is to walk right up to him and punch him so hard he flies through a stone wall. He doesn't give him a price, he gives him a fist, the ultimate non-negotiable term.
He doesn't answer the question. He is the answer. And as he throws that punch, Oda gives us that beautiful, silent panel. It's a flashback, but it's not an explanation. It's a justification. We see Nami on her knees in the dirt, stabbing her own arm, tears streaming down her face, screaming, "Luffy, help me."
That's the whole fuel for this fire, that single moment. It's not about territory, it's not about treasure, it's not about being the king of the pirates. It's about that one raw, desperate plea for help. He made a promise when she asked, and this punch is the down payment.
It's the purest distillation of who Luffy is. His anger is rarely for himself. We saw it when he fought Morgan for Kobe and Zoro, when he fought Kuro for Kaya's village, when he fought Krieg for Sanji and the Baratie. But this feels different, more personal, more visceral.
It really does. Because after that punch, Arlong gets back up and he's more annoyed than hurt, which is terrifying in its own right. He's brushing dust off his shoulder like he just got bumped into on the street. And that's when Luffy finally screams it. He just bellows, "Which of you is Arlong?" And then, "You're the one who made my navigator cry."
Not my friend, not Nami. He says my navigator. It's so specific. It's possessive, but not in a controlling way. It's a statement of belonging. It stakes a claim. She is a part of his crew, an essential piece of his dream, and therefore she is under his protection. That single line is the declaration of war.
It's him saying, "You didn't just hurt some girl, you hurt a part of me, a part of my crew," and that is unforgivable. It recontextualizes the whole fight. The villagers are fighting for their home. Luffy is fighting for his family.
That distinction is crucial. It's what separates him from other pirates, even from heroes. He isn't here to liberate Kokoyashi village. He is here because Nami, his navigator, asked him to be. The liberation of the village is a consequence of that primary goal, not the goal itself. It's an incredibly intimate motivation for such a large-scale battle.
And that's all it takes. The fishmen swarm him. They finally get it. This isn't a negotiation. It's an attack. They all rush him at once. But before they can even get close, here comes the cavalry. A storm of kicks just sends them flying. It's a whirlwind of black dress shoes and impeccable style.
Sanji arrives, and true to form, his first words to Luffy are a complaint. He's berating him for rushing in alone. "You idiot! Couldn't you have waited for us?"
But it's the best kind of complaint. It's not, "I was worried you'd get hurt." It's, "You started the party without me." Luffy just grins and says, "I won't lose." And Sanji's response is perfect. He says, "I wasn't worried about that for a second." Then he lights his cigarette and says he just wanted Luffy to leave some guys for the rest of them to fight.
It's their entire dynamic. The complete unshakable faith in their captain's strength, mixed with a friendly rivalry over who gets to show off more. There is zero doubt in Sanji's mind that Luffy can handle Arlong. He just wants his own piece of the action. It's a profound statement of trust disguised as a complaint.
Then we see the rest of them. Zoro is standing there, hand on his swords, just looking for a challenge. He's got that killer's calm that he gets before a big fight, and he's immediately needling Usopp, who's hiding in the back, peeking out from behind a pillar, saying he's perfectly fine if Luffy wants to handle it all himself.
The band is back together, and the fishmen are just losing their minds. They recognize Zoro. Hachin is there, the octopus fishman, and he looks furious. He's the one Zoro tricked to escape. He has a personal score to settle.
They're seeing the man who defeated dozens of their comrades on his own, now standing fresh and ready to go again. And they're even more shocked to see Usopp. They thought he was dead. Chu literally shot him. The look on their faces seeing these guys they thought they dealt with just standing there, ready for round two, it's magnificent. It's pure psychological warfare.
From their perspective, it's like ghosts have come back to haunt them. They've underestimated every single one of them, and now they're all here, together, as a single unit. They defeated them in isolated encounters, but they've never faced the Straw Hats as a crew. This is a completely different kind of threat.
A single, terrifying unit, and the villagers outside can see it. Johnny and Yosaku are holding them back, and they basically spell out the stakes. They're acting as the narrators for this moment.
They say that if these four men can't beat Arlong, then there's no hope left for the entire East Blue. That's how powerful they believe this crew is. It's a massive claim. We're talking about an entire sea, one of the four great blues. They are putting the fate of the world, as they know it, on the shoulders of these four guys.
And it feels earned. We've seen what they can do. We saw Luffy take out Krieg, the supposed ruler of the East Blue. We saw Zoro almost fight Mihawk to a standstill. Okay, not really, but he survived, and that's more than anyone else can say. The hype is real. Genzo is just bewildered. He demands to know why they're going this far, why they're putting their lives on the line for a village that isn't theirs.
It's a valid question from his perspective. For 10 years, he's only known pirates who take, who destroy, who demand. This selfless act is so alien to his experience that it doesn't compute. He's looking for a logical reason, an angle.
And Johnny and Yosaku give the only answer that matters, the same one Luffy gave. They look him dead in the eye and say, because they made our friend, Miss Nami, cry.
It's slightly different from Luffy's. Luffy said, my navigator, claiming her part of his crew. Johnny and Yosaku say, our friend, claiming her part of their larger found family. Both statements stem from the same core principle.
It's so simple, and it's so powerful. That's the entire Straw Hat ethos right there. You hurt one of us, you hurt our family, and the rest of us will come and tear your world down. That's the promise. It's not justice, it's vengeance. It's personal.
Arlong hears this, and he finally understands they're here for Nami. But he doesn't understand the implication. He just laughs. It's a deep, arrogant, mocking laugh. He asks what a bunch of inferior humans can possibly do against fishmen.
He still thinks it's a matter of species, of raw physical power. He's talking about how fishmen are 10 times stronger than humans from the moment they're born. He's reducing the entire conflict to a biological pissing contest. He doesn't get that he's not fighting a bunch of humans. He's fighting a force of nature that's coalesced around one rubber boy's will.
This is a very important theme that Oda is introducing, the idea of inherited racism and prejudice. Arlong's hatred for humans clearly comes from a place of deep-seated history. He isn't just a generic bully, he's a zealot. He genuinely believes in the superiority of his species, likely because he has experienced the inverse from the human world. It adds a tragic, twisted layer to his villainy. He's perpetuating a cycle of hate.
Yeah, but he's perpetuating it on innocent people, so he's still got to get wrecked. He's about to get a very practical lesson in the fact that will and determination can beat raw power any day of the week.
He's about to get a very practical lesson in that. Hachin, still fuming about Zoro, says they don't have time to waste on them and pulls out a trumpet.
And he summons the big gun, or so he thinks. He calls for Momu, the giant sea cow. The villagers are terrified. Usopp is terrified. This is the monster that destroyed Gosa Village. It's their ace in the hole.
Except we've met Momu before, and so have Luffy and Sanji. They just look at him completely unfazed. There's this brilliant panel where everyone else is screaming in terror, and Luffy and Sanji just have this look of mild recognition, like they're trying to place a face from a party they went to weeks ago.
The best part is, Momu remembers them too. He takes one look at the two guys who served him a beatdown back near the Barati, stretched him out and tied him in a knot, and he just freezes. You can see the pure, unadulterated, oh crap moment in his giant cow eyes. He just turns tail and tries to flee. It's incredible.
The payoff is so immediate. That little encounter that seemed like a random gag on the way to Arlong Park now serves to completely deflate the tension and undermine Arlong's authority. His secret weapon is terrified of the opening act. It's a masterful piece of narrative setup and payoff from Oda. He laid this track chapters ago just for this one moment.
Hachin is just confused, shouting at Momu to come back. What are you doing? And then Arlong... Oh, Arlong. He gets this evil smile on his face. He doesn't even raise his voice.
He doesn't shout. He just says, in this chillingly calm tone, Momu, I won't stop you from running away. And that's all it takes.
The poor sea cow just freezes. You can feel the sheer terror. He skids to a halt in the water. He's caught between the guys who beat him up before and the guy who's his boss. It's a choice between a past trauma and a current ever-present terror.
And he decides he's more afraid of Arlong. That tells you everything you need to know about how Arlong leads his crew. It's not through respect or loyalty. It's through absolute paralyzing fear. Momu knows that if he runs, whatever Arlong will do to him later is far, far worse than anything Luffy and Sanji can do to him right now.
So Momu turns around and charges, full speed ahead. The rest of the fishmen follow his lead. The big final push is on. The crew gets ready to fight. Sanji and Zoro are bracing themselves.
And Luffy just says, this is a waste of time.
He's done playing. He's done with the one-on-one punches. He's done with the talking. He looks at this whole army charging him and just decides to end it. He stomps his feet down so hard they sink into the stone floor, anchoring himself, and then he starts to twist his body, winding up like a spring.
The fishmen have no idea what they're seeing. This is the first time they've witnessed his devil fruit power in a truly creative, large-scale application. They just see a human twisting himself into a corkscrew and are probably just confused.
He stretches his arms out, grabs Momu by the horns as the sea cow is charging him, and Zoro, bless him, immediately knows what's coming. He doesn't know the specifics, but he knows Luffy is about to do something monumentally stupid and destructive. He just yells for Sanji to get out of the way.
He has a bad feeling about this. His "captain is about to do something insane" sense is tingling, and he's absolutely right.
Because Luffy unleashes all that coiled up energy. Gomu Gomu no Kazaguruma, pinwheel. He starts spinning. He uses Momu, this giant sea monster, this beast that terrified an entire island, as his living propeller. It is super.
He becomes a whirlwind of destruction. It is an act of such profound dominance. He's not just hitting the fishmen with their own monster. He's aiming for the support pillars of Arlong Park itself. He is systematically dismantling the structure of Arlong's power, both literally and figuratively.
The whole canopy, the upper levels of the structure, it all comes crashing down. He completely reshapes the battlefield in a single move. He took out dozens of grunts and demolished their headquarters simultaneously. He didn't just walk in the front door, he tore the whole front of the house off.
It's chaos, but it's calculated chaos. He neutralized the biggest threat by turning it into the weapon. He cleared the field of fodder so his crew can focus on the executives. And he literally brought Arlong's ivory tower down around him. All in one go. It's a tactically brilliant in its sheer brute force simplicity.
Then he just lets go, sending the unconscious Momu flying out into the ocean. Problem solved. He turns dead serious, covered in dust and debris, and looks right at Arlong, and he says he's only here to kick his ass.
That's the end of the games, the end of the posturing. Arlong is finally, truly enraged. The smirk is gone. He is looking at the ruins of his throne room, at his defeated men, at the boy who just used his pet monster as a wrecking ball. The disrespect is absolute. He declares he's going to kill Luffy himself.
And his top officers are stepping up too. We see Hachan, the six-sword-style fishman, Kurobi, the fishman karate expert, and Chu, the guy who spits water like bullets. They're all that's left standing, the elite guard.
The matchups are presenting themselves. Zoro looks at them and you can see he's excited. The warm-up is over. This is what he lives for, a real challenge. He's been itching for a proper sword fight since Mihawk.
Meanwhile, Sanji and Usopp are just yelling at Luffy for being so reckless and almost taking them out with the flying sea cow. The priorities are perfect. In the middle of this epic, world-changing confrontation, they're still just a bunch of dysfunctional siblings bickering. You almost flattened me, you rubber idiot.
It's the perfect ending to the chapter. The board is set. The pawns have been cleared. Now it's the real fight. The 4 strongest Straw Hats versus the 4 strongest Arlong pirates.
A full crew-on-crew battle. It's what we've been waiting for this entire arc. Before we get into what might happen next, if you're enjoying the breakdown, let us know in the comments who you think is winning their fight first. My money's on Zoro. He's got that focused rage going on.
An interesting choice. He does seem the most eager. Now, predictions for Chapter 83?
Okay, I've got a few. First, the matchups start immediately. No more talking. And I think we see Zoro versus Hachan kick off first. Zoro has a personal grudge there after being captured and tricked. He's going to want that payback. And a 6-sword style opponent is exactly the kind of weird challenge he'd gravitate towards. It's a chance to prove his 3-sword style is superior.
A focused one-on-one duel to start things off. I can see that. It would set the tone for the other fights.
Second prediction, Nami makes her way to Arlong Park. She ran off, but she won't stay away. She won't join the fight, not yet, but she's going to watch. She needs to see this with her own eyes. For 10 years, she's fought alone. She needs to see them fighting for her to fully believe it's real and that she doesn't have to carry this burden by herself anymore.
Her bearing witness would be a powerful narrative beat. It would close her emotional arc for this conflict, to see the dream she thought was impossible being realized by her new family.
Exactly. And my third prediction is that during the Luffy versus Arlong fight, we're going to get a flashback. Arlong will do something, maybe a certain kind of bite or a way he talks about money that will mirror what he did to Belmare, and it will trigger a memory for either Nami or Genzo, showing us the true horror of what he did that day. We've heard about it, but we haven't seen it yet.
Adding another layer of personal history and trauma to the final confrontation, a very pointed use of flashback to maximize the emotional impact of the final blows. I like that. Okay, my turn.
Let's hear it.
My first prediction is that we will learn more about Arlong's past. One of his officers, probably Kurobi, the most disciplined-looking one, will taunt Luffy. In his taunt, he might mention his old captain's ideals, contrasting them with Luffy's chaotic nature. It would be the first real clue about Arlong's backstory and what drove him from being just another pirate to becoming a tyrant.
Ooh, a lore drop in the middle of a brawl. Classic. So you're saying Arlong wasn't always like this, that something happened to him to make him this hateful. That's a juicy thought.
It would add complexity. Great evil often stems from great pain. My second prediction, Genzo and the villagers won't be able to just stand by. They've been passive victims for a decade. Seeing this fight will ignite their spirit. They'll try to rush in to help, despite Johnny and Yusaku. And one of the Straw Hats, I think Sanji, given his protective nature, will have to effortlessly save them from a random fishman, maybe kicking a water bullet away from Genzo. It will reinforce the idea that they are on a different level, and the villagers need to trust them to handle it.
A classic stay back, this is our fight moment. Yeah, I can totally see that happening. Protect the people you're fighting for, even from their own bravery. It shows that the Straw Hat's strength isn't just for destruction, it's for protection.
Precisely. And for my final prediction, Arlong will reveal a specific named fishman karate technique. It seems like a martial art unique to fishmen, so it stands to reason Arlong is highly proficient. I think he will use a technique that manipulates water, not just water in the sea, but water within a person's body, a shockwave sent through an opponent's own biology. This would be an especially dangerous and unique threat to a rubberman, like Luffy, whose body might react to such an internal attack in unpredictable ways.
Whoa! Using his own biology against him? That's a terrifying thought. It's not just punching, it's like weaponized hydrokinesis. That would immediately establish Arlong as a legitimate threat to Luffy, not just another strong guy he has to punch harder. It becomes a conceptual battle, not just a physical one.
It would raise the stakes beyond a simple slugfest. It would become a battle of technique and endurance. Can Luffy's rubber body withstand an attack from the inside out? It would force him to evolve.
I love it. Okay, I'm officially 1000% hyped for the next chapter. The matchups are set, the stakes are clear, and the real battle for Nami's freedom and the soul of the East Blue begins now. This is gonna be super.